spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. This episode, the roster is officially set at the 53-man mark. We are going to go through it and give our initial thoughts on it. A couple moves were made immediately after that. John Ridgway going to the New Orleans Saints in a trade, and then us picking up Noah Brown with that extra spot. We'll talk about those two moves. And then this is the predictions episode for the entire NFL season. K-Dot and I both went through every single NFL game. We picked them, and we're going to go division by division, rank these teams, then give you the playoffs, our Super Bowl matchup, our champion, our MVP. We'll also go through the Washington Commanders schedule game by game. We have the comment mailbag as we always do. Maybe some time for after the pod, hopefully. Before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Hey, share this. Don't hesitate. From anywhere you are, it's never too late. Like A-train lines that need to be blown. You need to spread the word and make it be known. District Divided.
Share this shit.
Just share it.
Share it, please. We greatly appreciate it. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get the episode started, K-Dot. So the initial 53-man roster has been set. We are now going to go through it here as I go over and share my screen so we can see the depth chart. I will be sharing this momentarily right around now. So here we are with the 53-man roster, beginning with the offense.
Fantastic.
This episode is brought to you by Fans. Apparently,
I don't have a lot of fucks this episode. All right, fun one.
He doesn't. We were talking before this, and this is going to be a very, very fun one, guys. So.
Flooded front yard. My hand is covered in blisters. I don't think I told you that.
Nope. That did not come up. There was a lot. There's a lot that came up. That did not come up though. This offense, K-Dot. We've got 25 people on it. We've got Jayden Daniels, of course, Marcus Mariota, Jeff Driskel as the quarterbacks, the running backs, B-Rob, Austin Ekeler, Jeremy McNichols. We had Michael Wylie in there, and turns out they like Jeremy McNichols more. At tight end, 4 of them. Zach Ertz, John Bates, Ben Sinnott, the senator himself, and then Colson Yankoff ends up making the team. Congrats to him, undrafted free agent. We got Andrew Wylie, Trent Scott at right tackle, Cosmi at right guard, Biadasz, Dieter over at center. We got Allegretti and Chris Paul at left guard, Brandon Coleman, who looks like he's practicing with no restrictions now. K. Cornelius Lucas at left tackle. And then the wide receivers, the heavily talked about wide receivers. Got Terry McLaurin, the newly signed Noah Brown. We'll get to him. Byron Pringle, Dyami Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Olamide Zaccheaus, and Jamison Crowder. K. The offense, what do you make of it?
Pretty much lined up with exactly where it is. Not exactly, but very, very close to what it is we were thinking, right? So, like, as far as any surprises go, I remember saying that I did think that 4 tight ends was a possibility, but I, of course, had Cole Turner. But I think what we were overlooking was the fact that when they have Larry Izzo in there as a special teams coach, they're going to make it a priority to make sure he has a special teams guys. I think if you look at offense and defense, they gave him 1 each, Colson Yankoff, and then on defense, Jeremy Reeves, which we'll get to. Those are his guys. So Yankoff has stood out throughout the preseason on teams. So it's no real huge surprise that he'll be on the team. I like the move. And as far as Byron Pringle making it over like Martavis Bryant, also kind of lines up. Remember, over the course of the game, I even said that I was taking guys in and out. Pringle was on my roster for the longest time during that game until the touchdown by Bryant. I thought that he did enough to put him over the top. And I guess that hug from Adam Peters is more like good luck in future endeavors.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you made the roster, bud. So yeah, and then the 3 quarterback. Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job. I think everything was kind of lining up the way that we kind of assumed it would.
Yeah, actually, this is our first time doing a 53-man roster projection, and we went 48 for 53, K-Dot, which honestly, considering it's a brand new, or not bad. I would like to say that we did a pretty good job with that. Colson, Yankoff, Jeremy McNichols, and Byron Pringle were the ones we missed. I'll put Pringle in the missed in quotation marks there because, like K-Dot had mentioned, he had him in for quite some time, and understandably so. Byron Pringle made some plays, including one that was called back where he had to reach around, grab it by the sideline. It was a great play by Pringle. And then Martavis just sort of took over. I already had my bias towards him. And so I thought Martavis would make it. He did not. But Byron Pringle, perfectly good choice over there on the offense. So now let's go over to the defense, where let's begin with the defensive line, which is exciting, K-Dot, against Cleveland Farrell, Dante Fowler Jr., Deron Payne, Phil Mathis, Jonathan Allen, Johnny Newton, who his week 1 status already in question, but they seem optimistic about it. We'll see what happens there. Dorrance Armstrong, Javonte Jean-Baptiste. That rounds out the defensive line. And then the linebackers, which is good for the first time in Lord knows how long. Frankie Louvu, Kel Walker, Dominique Hampton, Bobby Wagner, Jamin Davis listed as a linebacker right now, K-Dot. And then we go to the secondary, Benjamin St. Juste, Emmanuel Forbes, Jeremy Chin, Derek Forrest, Defoe, another undrafted free agent, Tyler Owens. Very, very happy to see him make the team. He stood out every single time on film. And then you got Quan Martin, Jeremy Reeves, Percy Butler, Michael Davis is the right corner, and then Mikey Sanders still wearing the number 0, looking fresh in it as well. And then Noah Igbenogany. And that rounds out the roster over there. K-Dot, on defense, what do you make of it?
Well, I mean, I guess they knew when we talked about having Mathis and Ridgeway on the roster. I guess they knew that Ridgeway was not going to be there. I mean, that was one of the first things that dropped even before the 53-man roster was like, hey, there's some guys with the trade block, right? I was a little surprised about the KJ Henry deal, and he ended up getting picked up by who he got signed off.
Cincinnati.
That was a dude that I was like, oh man, I hope he was get in here. But I think they just like Javonte Jean-Baptiste just a little bit too much. I thought that he was probably going to be safe on the practice squad, unlike KJ Henry. But maybe they know more. I'm assuming they know more than I do. So
yeah, no, that rounds out the defense. I think looking at, I get excited by seeing the defensive line. I do wish. And you know what? I honestly, let's quickly talk about special teams. We got Tressway, Cade York, Tyler Ott, which I think was totally expected. We got, as of right now, Jamison Crowder, Byron Pringle listed as the returners. And again, if Cade York is on the roster, K-Dot, come week 1, we owe a 7th round pick over to the Cleveland Browns, which is honestly worth it if he ends up being that dude. Just wanted to touch on, who were we touching on? So we had mentioned KJ Henry. And yes, K-Dot?
That was cricket.
Oh man. I think I just lost that. Oh, right. Because we were beginning to talk about John Ridgeway. Yeah. So to me, and why don't we go ahead and talk about the new signing and the departure of John Ridgeway. So for those that don't know, John Ridgeway was traded along with a 7th round pick over to the New Orleans Saints in exchange for a 6th round pick. So the way to think of it is that we freed up a roster spot in that interim and moved up anywhere from 1 spot to 20, 30 something spots in the draft over there. So it was, to me, a bit of an interesting move because I knew that Johnny Newton is still, recovering from injury, stuff like that. So it'd be nice to go 4 deep in case he can't get started. And having depth at defensive tackle, we even talked about in the last episode, would be quite useful. So to trade him was a bit of a surprise to me. We'll talk about Noah Brown in a moment, which was the roster spot that was filled. But I was a bit surprised by the move, Kate. What did you make of trading John Ridgeway?
It was a luxury. To me, it was one of those things where it was like, when you start going through the roster, it was like, there's a lot of bodies there. I think the idea for them, it's the same as the Jahan Dotson thing to a certain degree, right? Which is like, look, if you're not going to get enough time to be the most of value for us, then let's get something else. Yeah. Like, it's not necessarily that we don't think you're talented. It's just, are you clearly talented enough to be in the rotation more than X, Y, and Z player? No. And if that's the case, then why are we have you here on the team kind of wasting away when we can get another asset for you? I think that that's basically what it is as far as in that realm. Look, there were a few guys that have walked away that I was at least like, oh man, I kind of wish we still had that guy, right? So Ridgeway, of course, but once again, luxury. Tariq Castro Fields, and I mean, a dude that went practice squad. I thought one of those other guys, I'm like, oh man, I don't want anybody else to get him, but you got these players.
Yeah, he ended up getting picked up. Yeah,
right. You got these guys that are not necessarily world beaters, and they're going to need time in order to really see what it is they have. Look, Ridgeway has looked good anytime really he's been in a game for us, right? He's had these little flashes, these little moments here and there, but not enough that he's being named a fucking starter over Deron Payne or Jonathan Allen. Not enough that we know he's first in line as far as on that rotation, right? I think if anybody was still power ranking any of them, they'd still say Mathis probably has more upside. You, of course, probably say Newton has more upside. So, yeah, while it's nice and I'd love for that to be a thing that they could have, I much rather get a draft pick that maybe can be used. Maybe we have something special. Maybe you find another Tyler Owens or some shit, right? And I'm not complaining that roster spots got moved, so we got Noah Brown, which was we wanted a receiver with some fucking size, and they've shown something. And look, if we're trying to replicate anywhere near what they did in Houston with CJ Stroud, they're getting some particular pieces. So I don't mind it.
Yeah, can't mind it at all. Noah Brown, a guy that the coaching staff is familiar with, at least Dan Quinn's familiar with, over from his time with Dallas. And he had some nice games for the Houston Texans last season, winning them a couple even down the stretch late, making some big plays for them. So Noah Brown being in the wide receiving room, and let's talk about that for a moment, because we had waiver claim number 2. And I think a lot of people wanted us to use it. And I think it's understandable that people wanted us to use it. That being said, if you did claim somebody off of waivers, they had to immediately go onto your 53-man roster. It wasn't, hey, they're coming over here and then we get to talk to them. No, they are coming and immediately taking someone's spot. So then all of a sudden you need to cut somebody. So Noah Brown, we ended up picking up in free agency right after those waiver claims were made. Personally, K-Dot, I did not at all mind that we did not use our waiver claims. And I was totally fine with filling the spot with a guy like Noah Brown, who has some experience, played with CJ Stroud last season, and had a couple big games when he needed to. And so having that in your room, and I already feel good about the wide receivers. I know nationally people say we don't have wide receivers. I actually like our room as an underrated room. We'll see how this goes. I like it. You don't like it.
I really like, I think, as majority of the nation thinks, we have one stud, one guy who's completely underrated as far as the league goes, in Terry McLaurin. And we have another guy that I'm super duper excited to see play more in Luke McCaffrey. Right. Beyond that, okay. No, I mean, the thing was, Noah Brown had some, I think, forget if it was on one of my leagues, I was able to pick him up because, look, he had those back-to-back games. I was trying to pull up stat line. The Tampa Bay
he exploded.
Game, 6 for 153, and then follows it up against Cincinnati, 7 for 172. You're like, who's this guy? Like, he's been on the on Dallas for a minute. Like, who the fuck is this dude? Yeah, I mean, I think what it goes back to is like what it is I think about this whole season is I don't know what we have yet. I'm curious if you were to paint me excited or like really curious to see what we have. Yeah, that's 100%. That's where I'm at. I don't feel dejected. I don't feel depressed going into the season as far as the talent level goes at receiver. But I'm really curious to see what some of the young dudes can do.
Oh, certainly.
I think that's where I'm at. It's more of an excitement or a curiosity than anything else.
And I want to make sure that when I say I like our wide receiver room, that I'm not saying it is like, this world beating. Like I think I'm also saying what K-Dot is saying. I just used the word like, which was fairly loaded versus, curiosity. Let's see how it develops. How does Luke McCaffrey look, for example? Is Olamide Zaccheaus the flashes he showed in preseason? Dyami Brown, the flashes he showed in preseason? Is that real? Is that a mirage? We will find out as the season unfolds.
I know for you, it's because you've learned all their personal stories and you have a connection to them.
I like the guys on the roster. Yes, K-Dot, I do.
I know. If it's anyone but Kirk Cousins, if you follow him for long enough time, Mohammed's going to fall in love with him.
Oh, we'll get to Kirk Cousins. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get into this is the prediction show, guys. So what we're going to do, we are going to go through each and every division, rank them 4 to 1, and explain a little bit about whatever team you want to, maybe all four if you really want to. And we're going to begin with the AFC East over here, K-Dot, where, of course, we have the four teams: Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, and the New York Jets. So, K-Dot, 4-1, the floor is yours.
4-1, AFC East. Let's start off with the basement dwellers, the team that we saw not too long ago, and they do not look great. The New England Patriots. Yeah, bro. I don't know what's happening, and you got D'Amico Ryans basically saying like, "Yeah, May's playing better than Jacoby. I don't think we're gonna play him though." Like, I'm not. So it's like, it's the most honest you could be with saying our offensive line is trash. We don't want to kill our quarterback. So Jacoby, I hope you're okay.
If I could jump in, I think Kyle Brandt said it best. Drake won the job. The rest of the roster lost it for him, which I thought was perfectly said.
That's perfectly said. That is a. I got a connection. I'll tell you off mic. I got a connection to him.
Oh, okay, right on.
It's great. All right. Yeah, the Patriots are just they're a fucking mess. I mean, even what it is they were able to do defensively last year, which is what kept them in a lot of games. I do think even though D'Amico and what he's trying to do is continue the Bill Belichick legacy, right? He's one of Bill's disciples. He was a team leader on the defense, this, that, and the other. If you don't have Belichick in the building, I just assume that you're going to have a drop-off. I believe in him that much. He might have been one of the worst as far as acquiring of talent in the last decade, but he can still coach a fucking defense. I think there will probably be a drop-off there. And I keep saying D'Amico Ryans. I mean Jared Mayo.
Yes.
What am I saying?
Drop
Jared Mayo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next up. Going 4-1. The Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
The Buffalo Bills finishing third in the division. Look, man, I've just been on this wave where each year the Bills finish worse than they did the previous season, and I'm continuing the track. I also think that, like, as you'll see the rest of my list kind of play out, there is one team that was absolute dog shit last year, at least on offense, that is not going to be absolute dog shit on offense this year. And that, to me, alone is enough to say the Bills. Look, I have records for the teams, and I don't want to share all the records that I have for the teams because they suck. But, like, I had the Bills somewhere at, like, 500 mark, 8-9, 9-8, somewhere like that. Mm-hmm. I'm ready for them to prove me wrong. Like, having Josh Allen on the team is anything can happen with the Josh Allen on the team. They get rid of Stephon Diggs. They get Keon Coleman. We'll see exactly what the fuck kind of happens with all of it. But yeah, I'm not a huge believer in the Bills. Next up, the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, also known as the AFC's Cowboys. We know regular season they're gonna be fucking dominant. They're gonna have fucking monstrous scoring, do all kinds of shit. I just still, from a playoff standpoint, I just think they need more experience there in order to kind of take the next steps they need to. And look, Tua has been great in a lot of different circumstances, but to me, thinking that Tua is going to go on a playoff run, I got to see it. They might prove me wrong, but I just got to see it. And of course, I got the New York Jets, number one. The defense, come on. And offensively, look, I got my issues with Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers and Breece Hall with Garrett Wilson and all those guys, while I do think it doesn't necessarily start on fire offensively, I do think the defense can do enough that if that offense can score just enough points, they can win some fucking games.
Okay, well said. So just to recap what K-Dot had mentioned is the New England Patriots 4, the Buffalo Bills 3, the Miami Dolphins 2, the New York Jets at number 1. So I will go through mine a bit quicker because he explained most of it. At number 4, I have the New England Patriots. Again, when Kyle Brandt says that Drake May won the job, but they're too afraid to put him out there because the rest of the roster is going to get him killed, I agree. And we saw it. I mean, KJ Henry, who we released, literally hurt Jacoby Brissett because he was just a free run at the guy. You can't put your franchise back there. In fact, K-Dot and I talked about this with Jayden Daniels, that we would not necessarily put him back there until we trust the offensive line. I'm hoping that we trust the offensive line. I trust in the staff, and so we'll see what happens there. We'll, of course, talk about the Commanders later on. So that's number 4 is the New England Patriots. Number 3, I also have the Buffalo Bills. So they lost a lot of pieces this offseason. And Josh Allen, I want to see him do it without Stephon Diggs. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. I know people rate him very highly. I rate him as well. maybe not as highly as others. Let's see if he proves me wrong. At number 2, I have the New York Jets. The reason I have the New York Jets at number 2 and not number 1 is because, K-Dot, I predict Monday night against the Buffalo Bills, this is, I believe, week 6, Rodgers gets hurt again because there is a Sunday night where the New York Giants host at MetLife and Monday night, the Jets host at MetLife. I'm wondering if there's a turf issue. I'm wondering if something gets missed. Aaron Rodgers, something happens. This is the deep insight you get here at District Divided. He misses a few games, just enough to open it up for the Miami Dolphins to finish number 1 in the AFC. They capitalize on Rodgers missing. I'm predicting 3 to 4 games. I think Tyrod Taylor wins 1 or 2 for the New York Jets. Their backup is better than their starter last year already. I like Tyrod Taylor. I think he can adequately do the job in the meanwhile. But just that 1 game difference will make the difference. So I've got the Miami Dolphins finishing in first place there, K-Dot, in the AFC East.
Yeah, the only thing I say, the Rodgers thing is, look, Rodgers has not played great in a few years, in my opinion, anyway. Sure. But I think it's akin to, and I'm not saying I don't think he's as good. He's definitely not as good a leader, but kind of what like Peyton Manning did when he left Indianapolis to go to Denver, where it was clearly the defense was what was working. Do I see him throwing for 7 touchdowns in a game like Peyton did in Denver? No, but I still think that defense just plays the way they need to. What do you need? 20 points a game?
And that's the thing. This is much less an Aaron Rodgers prediction and much more I love the defense and I have faith in Tyrod Taylor if he needs to come in and fill in for 3 to 4 games. I love Breece Hall. I absolutely love Breece Hall. This team is defense and running, and then when Rodgers needs to make a play, do so. I hope they adjust accordingly. Don't spread these guys out. You're going to hurt yourself that way. They've filled the offensive line as well. That's the AFC East. Now let's go to the North, K-Dot. The floor is yours once again, 4 through 1.
AFC North. Should I be quicker than I was last time? Or like
I don't care. It's our show. Do what you want.
All right, fine. AFC North, also known as the best goddamn division of football.
Yep. Agreed.
I mean, I have them in one other division. No, they're the best division of football. This is what it is. In last place in the AFC North, give me the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Bengals being in last place is because of one thing above all other things. I do not, under any circumstances, believe Joe Burrow is healthy. I think they're lying to us. And I think it's an issue. I think his wrist is an issue. Look,
oh my goodness,
they
spicy.
Will go.
I like it. Okay,
they will go where Joe takes them. Where Joe's not there. Look, the Cincinnati Bengals, above all other things, and maybe this is a spoiler alert for Ahmed in our fantasy league. I ain't touching no goddamn Bengals players, okay? Because I don't trust it. I just don't trust it. And if I'm looking at it, look, if Joe Burrow's 100% and what it is that they can do on offense, look, there are few teams, if not any team in the league, that can fucking stop them, right? When they're clicking on all cylinders, they're fucking great. But what I've also got to look at is defenses, and their defense is a far cry away from the fucking world beaters that are in this goddamn division.
Okay,
which is where
that's fair.
I go to the next guys, and then we'll talk about playoffs and other kinds of shit like later on in this. But yeah. All right. So next up, I have the Cleveland Browns. Once again, I think the Cleveland Browns defensively are still going to be what it is they are. I think Deshaun Watson is fucking trash. I just think he sucks. That being said, do you know what Deshaun Watson's record was at quarterback last year?
I do not. Go ahead.
5-1. So
5-1.
I think.
I thought it was like 5-3 or something, or like 4-2. 5-1.
People think that Joe Flacco came and like saved them. They just look better at certain moments offensively, like they're putting up points. But the defense is what makes that shit work.
Yes,
their offense is going to go where Nick Chubb, who's not healthy, can go, and that's where I just have them in third place compared to last place. Right? I still think they're coming off Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to be fucking great. The defense is still like that, and offensively they need to do a few more things. But I love David Njoku. If Deshaun could really use him as a safety valve and really get that clicking, maybe he got something where he just doesn't have to. I don't think they need Deshaun Watson to be that good to win games. That's basically my bottom line on that.
That's fair.
Next up, Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh, in my opinion, by the end of the season, might have the number 1 overall defense. They were banged up like shit last year. Okay. And look, as much as there are a lot of talk coming out of the preseason as far as what's going on at quarterback for them, be it that nobody's totally impressed with Russell Wilson, nobody's thoroughly impressed with Justin Fields, I can tell you this. They're both upgrades over Kenny Pickett. And that's all you really need, okay? Like, but you look at what Fitzpatrick was injured last year, TJ Watt was injured last year, and Watt's a dude when he's playing on all cylinders, he's also a defensive player of the year candidate any year that he's fucking playing and he's healthy, right? I just think Pittsburgh is one of those teams where they're always in it. They're always in the conversation. If they stay healthy, and usually you get those teams that have like the bad injury luck, it pivots the other way the following year. So this is what I'm kind of going, is that pendulum swing back in their direction going for this year.
Okay.
And number one, I got the Baltimore Ravens. Look, the Derrick Henry signing should have been something that made everybody quiver in their boots, and it didn't. It just didn't. I just don't think it had the same reverberations around the league that we would expect it to be. The idea of like, hold on, Derrick Henry with Lamar Jackson, with Zay Flowers on the outside. What is it? What? We got to see it. And I think that there's a lot of thinking that like, hey, I just have faith that it'll work. I don't think it'll necessarily be that Derrick Henry's rushing for 1,600 yards and like 25 touchdowns. But as long as he's a threat and as long as he can chip away at these guys and the defense over the course of the game, and that defense still plays at the level at which they're playing with guys that are only getting better. What's his name? What's our guy's name? What's his name? Kyle motherfucking Hamilton on the same team. Like, that's my guy, and he's only getting better, bro. Like, Baltimore, there's still a lot that they need to prove overall over the course of the year. We talk about the injury pendulum. Look, I'm not a guy that likes to say Lamar Jackson's like injury prone or anything like that. He has some bad luck, but he was particularly healthy last year. So the idea of him putting back-to-back seasons, I have faith in him. Let's see it. I just think Baltimore, there's nobody in this division outside of Cincinnati when Joe Burrow's healthy, which I don't think he is, that can outscore Baltimore in what it is they're doing in offense.
Okay, hey, that's fair. And in fourth place, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think that their defense is ridiculously good. I think the quarterback is a big question mark for me, and I think they have a very tough schedule, especially when they have to go against these other guys where I think a lot of the defenses are good. I think Cincinnati typically has an underrated defense. I think I like Lou Anarumo as their defensive coordinator. So so I think that he ends up just making it work just enough each and every time. It's never like, oh my God, the Bengals defense. But to me, still that question mark at QB, I don't have enough faith in the Pittsburgh Steelers to be able to get beyond fourth place. In third place, I do also have the Cleveland Browns. And this is once again quite similar to the New York Jets in that I like the run game. Jerome Ford, I think, will be just fine early on. Now, the Browns line is a bit banged up right now. Let's see how it looks week one. I hope it's ready for week one. They play the Dallas Cowboys, so I really do hope it's ready for week one. But that defense can win a game on its own. I love that defense. I think this is going to ultimately be a playoff team as well, K-Dot, in third place. In second place, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. A bit of a risky pick, right? Because what K-Dot said, I think there's plenty of credence to the point. Like, what the heck? Joe Burrow needs to prove that he can stay healthy. I do think he has a point to prove. He dyed his hair. I think he's all in for this season. I think it looks great. But I do think that T. Higgins is going to, in this year where he could get paid, then the following offseason is going to play very, very well. And I think Jamar Chase, he needs to get up to speed a little bit. He's practicing again, but I think come week 2, 3, whatever, he'll be just fine. And this Bengals offense is going to be scary. At number one, I mean, I love last year I picked the Baltimore Ravens to win the whole thing. I picked Lamar Jackson as MVP. I believe you picked Lamar Jackson as MVP as well, K-Dot. So want to make sure you get that credit as well. But the Baltimore Ravens, to your point on Derrick Henry, that is historic thunder. And Lamar has lost 20 pounds. That's elite lightning once again, in my opinion. I think that these two in the backfield are already a matchup nightmare for people. Are you worried, K-Dot? I wanted to ask you this. Are you worried that the departure of Mike McDonald is going to have a significant impact on that defense?
Significant? No.
That's my thing. So when we talk about culture and we talk about identity and John Harbaugh, like, I have faith that the Ravens defense will be good enough. And I think it'll be good. So I have the Ravens finishing number one as well. Okay. So to quickly recap, K-Dot has the Bengals in fourth, the Browns in third, Steelers in second, Ravens in first. I have the I'm sorry, the Steelers in 4th, Browns in 3rd, Bengals in 2nd, Ravens in 1st. Let's move on to the South.
I will say, you mentioned your playoff teams. I should probably do that as we do this.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I have Browns, Bengals, and Ravens in. From the East, I have the Jets and Dolphins in. So that's 5 already.
Jets and Dolphins in, and I have I have the Ravens as the number 1 seed in the AFC, and I've got the Steelers making the playoffs.
Okay.
All right.
The Steelers making the playoffs. Okay. So you got 4 in right now.
Yeah.
All right. Go on to the South, my friend.
AFC South. Fuck this division.
Awesome.
I'm not watching them. It's out of one team, which I think everyone should know where the fuck I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Titans, yeah.
Yeah.
I will give credit to Will Levis. You're a brave man, sir. But fuck them. No, that's trash. And the Mike Vrabel firing still the dumbest coaching decision. The dumbest front office move last season.
I agree.
Titans are in that first overall pick bowl. Give me the Colts next up. Anthony Richardson is somebody who in fantasy leagues and all sorts of other things would be getting this sort of hype. And I'm telling you, like,
shocking.
It just proves to me how many people did not watch him play a full game. He is NFL red zone darling. Like, he'll have a play every once in a while that's like, holy shit. And then you watch him over the course of the game, like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, It's not great. So, I mean, look, I like him. I'm rooting for him, but he was hurt a lot of last season.
Yeah, exactly. You said a lot of people didn't watch him play a full game because he didn't.
He didn't play.
Some people just see the size and they're like, oh my God. And then other quarterbacks that are smaller, they're injury prone. This guy couldn't stay on the fucking field.
He was doing a lot though. He was doing a lot. Look, it goes back to my overall thing with the Colts. Jim Irsay is a terrible owner. I really do think.
But also, thank you, Jim. You changed our franchise.
Yeah, no doubt. But
Appreciate
I think that like a lot of Jim's legacy is based on one man and one man only, and his name is Peyton fucking Manning. If it wasn't for him, Lord knows what that franchise would be. Okay. Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, this I guess might be one. I mean, I don't even think we'll get an answer this year. Who are you, Trevor Lawrence? Like, I don't know. Like, who are you? Like, who are you and what are you going to be? Right now, I don't have any of those teams so far making the playoffs. I got one team out of the AFC South making the playoffs, and it is the Houston Texans. Look, even if there is a sophomore slump of sorts, they're still light years ahead of everybody else in this division. So,
yeah,
easy enough.
Okay. I'm not even going to spend any additional time. I have the exact same thing, K-Dot. Titans at 4, Colts at 3. I don't trust Richardson to stay healthy. Hopefully they ask him to do less. At 2, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have them winning 10 games. I don't know who Trevor Lawrence is, but he has a lot around him this time. I mean, I like Brian Thomas, the rookie wide receiver that, of course, was teammates with Jayden Daniels at LSU. They picked up Gabe Davis. They still have Christian Kirk. See what happens over there. I've got the Houston Texans at 1. I mean, these guys have really taken advantage of this rookie contract of CJ Stroud's. They've added some serious pieces to it. Yeah, I got them 13 wins. I really like the Houston Texans.
I did too.
Okay, cool. Let's go over to the West, K-Dot. The floor is yours. Once again, 4 through 1, please.
The good old AFC West. Also fighting for the first overall draft pick in the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders. I hate them. I don't like.
They got your boy. They got your boy. Your number 1 quarterback you wanted this offseason, K-Dot.
Yeah.
All right.
They also got the tight end that I wanted so badly last year, Michael Mayer. And they got Brock. And didn't they Brock Bowers?
Yeah. Yeah, they got Brock.
I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay. I don't know.
If you can call your first round pick every single year without looking a thing up, and you do it every year, yeah, that's not a good sign.
Which is not fake. Which is not good fake. Because look, John Gruden destroyed them, okay, to a certain degree. And I'm still calling it right, which means they haven't done enough to move on from what John Gruden was doing. I still kind of wish I was doing the other podcast because my co-host is a Raiders fan. I just want to make fun of him every goddamn single week. Look, I'm rooting for, like, Antonio Pierce is a good dude. I'm rooting for him. I still don't think there's a lot there. I never really thought there was a lot there. I really think because he was not Gruden and everybody really liked him, it just kind of worked. But there's been so much rah will get you. Next up, Denver Broncos. It pains me to say because I don't like Sean Payton. These guys are gonna be feisty as fuck. I like Bo Nix. Remember, I was a Bo Nix guy until he started talking about himself in the third
I am still not a Bo Nix guy.
It rubbed me on way. I think they're going to be slinging that ball, and I just think it's going to be some interesting stuff. Okay. I think they're going to win some games they have no business winning. I think they're going to lose more games than they're going to win. But it's just Denver's not a team I want to play. I don't have anything to do with it.
I would love to play these guys. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm good. Next up, I have the Chargers, who I do have making the playoffs, and I do think Jim Harbaugh will be in the conversation for Coach of the Year. Look, this is just a dude that knows how to win as far from a coaching standpoint. And I'm sorry, but the move from a Brandon Staley to Jim Harbaugh, like, I don't know if it can be measured. like we're like us here in Washington look at Ron Rivera to Dan Quinn, and we're like, oh my God, you really we don't know. And I say this is like, I'm a Justin Herbert super fan, number one. Mm-hmm. The Chargers are like one of my favorite teams. They've just done some interesting stuff. There's going to be some things as far as like wide receiver. They're missing some of the guys that they've had previous seasons, and like Keenan Allen's gone. But I actually think this is one of those teams of Jim Harbaugh where like you can do more with less, and it might ask more of Herbert to start working on things in a very methodical way. Defensively, look, they got some holes here and there, but I mean, Bosa is still not old yet, and he can still play. I just think they'll get enough together. It'll be well balanced. I don't bet against Jim Harbaugh. And then number one in that division, I think Chiefs.
Yeah, enough said. To me, I will go number 4, the Denver Broncos. I know you're Bo Nix guy. He had a very interesting preseason. And so I think people look at the numbers and they go, they were good. And the numbers were good. And then you actually watch a little bit of it, and there were some very, very sketchy moments, in my opinion. He'll grow. I do think he'll grow some, but I think it's going to be a tough year for the Denver Broncos. So I've got them at number 4. At number 3, I've got the Las Vegas Raiders, but I don't have the Vegas Raiders doing particularly well. I got them at 6 wins. So that is what I've got. I like Gardner Minshew. I do like Gardner Minshew. I like Antonio Pierce as the players coach, and I do think that they will have some juice to them. But I mean, there's only so much you can do in this division where the second place team picks up Jim Harbaugh at head coach in the Los Angeles Chargers. I love this idea that they have this guy in Justin Herbert that people all agree is incredibly talented. Let's protect him. Let's run. They literally took the Baltimore running backs, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. They drafted an offensive lineman in Joel, and they were just like, we're just going to go, all right? And we're going to make it easy for our QB. And on defense, I believe Jesse Minter's the DC, who, like, these guys, when you have really, really good coaches, and Harbaugh's one of them, you can make the case he's one of the greatest ever. Like, it just makes an enormous difference. And they got your guy, Joe Hortiz, over as general manager. So, like, I got faith in these guys. I do think they missed the playoffs with 10 wins. But I like them. I think they have a very good season. Wouldn't surprise me in the least if they end up making the playoffs. But you're not the Kansas City Chiefs. And until proven otherwise, Kansas City. Yeah. Simple. Yeah. All right. So, K-Dot, quickly going through the AFC. Well, real quick recap of the AFC West. K-Dot has the Las Vegas Raiders in 4th, Denver Broncos 3rd, Chargers 2nd, Chiefs 1st. I just flipped 3 and 4. I've got the Broncos 4th, Raiders 3rd, but the same 2-1 of the Chargers and Chiefs respectively. Actually, we'll do the seeding a bit later. Let's go ahead and go over to the NFC North. Okay, we'll save the East for last. And before we get to the East, we'll do our Commanders game-by-game predictions, and we'll do the entire NFC East. So, K-Dot, the floor is yours. 4 through 1, please.
Sorry, Minnesota. This is not going to be a good year for you guys. Like, it's just been bad luck after bad luck after bad luck for these dudes. Aaron Jones is not going to save you. You get your first round pick. He's hurt now. You get nothing with that first round pick. The third round pick, sadly, passed away. Like, there's no it's rough, and they weren't like, it's bad. Kirk Cousins was doing great things with them at one point, and like there's no true replacement they have for the production that Kirk was providing for them. There's also like there's other shit like the Jordan Addison, whatever the fuck is going to happen with that shit. Like it's just they're a bit of a mess. I'm hoping that I'm actually hoping that this is a good thing for the long-term development for JJ McCarthy, for Kevin O'Connell. Like this is one of those seasons where they regress. Things just aren't working in their favor, but they can bounce back, high draft picks, other things following year. Next up, the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears will be disappointing. I don't think it will be necessarily Caleb Williams' fault. I just think Matt Eberflus and the guys that they have in that building are the definition of mediocre, if I'm being completely honest. I even think with the talent and everything they got, I still don't know if they'll be able to put together a cohesive enough offense to make anything truly work. I think they do have talent that'll keep some things going. I think they'll be a fun team to watch in certain aspects of things. Like, I'm not going to turn the TV off if they're fucking playing. I just think they're not quite as good as a couple of the other teams in the division, which is next up, Green Bay. I am of the idea that what we saw in that final part of last year with Jordan Love compared to what it is it's looking like as far as the contract and situation, it was just fucking crazy. Look, Jordan Love, another person to prove in my whole quarterback should sit at least a year theory, which is great. But I also don't think that they're necessarily of that level. I don't think Jordan Love will play up to that level that he was playing at the end of that season. But I also think when they have the receivers that are being able to develop, unlike they were being developed with Aaron Rodgers, they do have a lot of dudes that they were throwing there trying to make it work. Dobbs, Watson, even when they got it like Musgrave as far as the tight end, I just think they're going to be really, really interesting to watch. And I do believe that they absolutely upgraded running back by beating up Josh Jacobs. Look, I love, I just said his name. I love Aaron Jones, but he was getting up there in age. Josh Jacobs has been a dude that's been hungry to just fucking just carry the rock, and Vegas has had no idea what the fuck to do with him. So I feel good about them having a more balanced attack. And then number one in the division, number one in all of our hearts, and number one seed in the NFC to me is the Detroit Lions. This just feels like this is the team that has made every step the right way, going through all the growing pains, doing everything they need to do. They lose in the playoffs last year, but not in that like overly demoralizing way. They didn't lose a Super Bowl, which like has everybody depressed. They lost a game in which everyone in that room under Dan Campbell said, we can do it this time. And I just look at both sides of the ball, offensively, defensively. They just got dudes. They are well-rounded, well-built, good fucking team. I just have a lot of faith in them. So outside of the Lions, I also do have the Packers making the playoffs out of that division.
Okay, right. Okay, so we have the Packers and Lions making the playoffs for KDOT, and beginning my predictions, I've also got the Minnesota Vikings in fourth. It's been a tragic offseason for them. It's just been tough. I genuinely feel bad for the Vikings and just what all has happened. Of course, the rookie passing away at Upper Marlboro, I want to say, incredibly tragic. Then on the field, JJ McCarthy, their first round pick, they're excited for him. Looks good in that first preseason game, airing it out, like showing off the arm, showing off the accuracy. Has the MCL injury, and now he's out for the year. It's a lot to overcome. I'd love Kevin O'Connell as a coach. Is Sam Darnold going to have a career renaissance? I've never been that big on the guy. I don't think so. I think at a certain point, it's very, very difficult to change. I think that's where they find themselves. It's sort of a tough position in a really good division, in my opinion. In third, I also have the Chicago Bears. So I think they're a supremely talented team. Actually, on both sides of the ball, I really do. I think Caleb Williams will go through some growing pains, and I mean that quite literally, because one of the things that I don't recall if we ever touched on, KDOT, is that he in college led, at least amongst the draftees, he led them in self-pressure rate. What that means is generating your own pressure based on your pocket movement. Some of it could have just been he was bored and wanted to entertain himself and stuff like that. It's at 29%. If he tries the same stuff in the NFL, I do think he may end up missing a couple games here. The talent is there. The talent is absolutely there. I do think he goes through some growing pains, though. So I've got them in third place because the two teams ahead of him are really fucking good. In second, I have the Detroit Lions at 12 wins. Wow. So I think that they are really, really good. and they have the continuity. Love Dan Campbell. I just think what we saw in Green Bay last year, and they're my 1 seed as well, K-Dot, 13 wins, is real. I'm riding that fully, and I recognize that. And I have a lot of potential to be wrong here. But Jordan Love made a bunch of no-name receivers look incredible, right? We didn't know who these guys were until Jordan Love really turned it on in the second half of the season. I like Josh Jacobs. They continue to invest on the defensive side of the ball. And so I think the defense is going to end up being quite good this year as well. So I have the Green Bay Packers winning the division this year, back to supremacy for them. Very annoying for the rest of the division. But that's what I have. So quickly, you want to react to that, K-Dot, before we move on?
Just the wide receiver bit for Green Bay. I guess I've watched more Green Bay than other people have, just because, be it Brendan, my good friend, is a Green Bay Packers fan. But more than anything, it's because I always hated Rodgers constantly complaining that he didn't have receivers. And my thing is that I constantly saw that he did. He just does a terrible, god-awful job in giving them the confidence they need to actually work on things. I keep going back to arguably one of, if not the most talented receiver we've seen in the NFL over the course of the last decade is Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Go look at his stat sheet the first few years that he's in Green Bay. Aaron wasn't looking his way. He refuses to look the way of the rookies. He just doesn't trust them. And if you were to break a drop or anything as a rookie, he yells at you or gets very passive aggressive with you, and it's not a way to develop. I think that they do have very, very talented dudes. They just didn't get the opportunity to really show or improve on what it is they were. And last year was that opportunity.
Fair enough. And K-Dot, you'll appreciate this on the subject of Devontae Adams and watching those Green Bay games. I was, I think, a year, maybe 2 years early in fantasy on him, where I drafted him 2 to 3 rounds higher because I was like, dude, this guy, I need to have him. Absolutely need to have him. And it wasn't that year, but it was the following year that he just explodes. You could see it. And with these guys, Dontavion Wicks, Jayden Reed, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, Christian Watson, he can miss games. I think they're going to be just fine. Like Romeo Doubs, like they've got, I really like what they have going in Green Bay right now. And I think Matt LaFleur has proven some really good stuff. So quickly recapping, that is the Minnesota Vikings in 4th and the Chicago Bears in 3rd for both K-Dot and myself. And then we have a difference in 2 and 1. K-Dot's got the Lions, completely understandably, as his 1 seed as well, in first place in the division, with Green Bay 2nd. I have Green Bay 1st as my 1 seed, and Detroit 2nd, but in the playoffs. Let's go over to the NFC South, K-Dot.
NFC South, start number 4, the New Orleans Saints. Don't like them. Don't like them at all. Also, there is no more hated starting quarterback in the NFL by a fan base than Derek Carr.
Seriously.
Look,
nuts. I was reading about it. I was like, oh my God.
They are going to be booing that man early. Okay. So like the idea that he's going to have any sort of realm or room to like get it right, I pressure's on and it's on hardcore. And what they got the Panthers to start out. So it's like, okay, maybe we could get something going against the Panthers. But then they got but then they got the Cowboys and then the Eagles back to back. If the Boo Birds ain't fucking calling in by week 3, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Then they've exceeded all expectations, guys. I just think they're bad. I really do think the Saints are just bad. And Dennis, he just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Next up, the Carolina Panthers. I know some of you really, really like Dave Canales. That's the coach, right? That's
the coach. That's right.
He's about to be the quarterback whisperer, right? I don't give a fuck. I don't think they're winning a lot of games in Carolina. I'm ready to be proven wrong. Bryce Young, Short Kings Unite. I'm rooting for you, bud. But yeah, I ain't got faith in Carolina. I just don't. I actually think the best player they had on defense, the best 2 players they had on defense, aren't there anymore. So
they're here. Well, there's Brian Burns.
Well, yeah, one's here. One's
yeah. Okay, fair.
The
yeah,
third
no, that's a good
player
point.
on defense is here. Yeah, that's that. Third, I have, second, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I consider myself a Baker Mayfield guy. I do. I also think Baker was another guy that we thought had maybe a better season than he did if you actually watch everything you need to watch on him. I think it's only a matter of time before Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are like screaming at him on the side.
Okay.
Okay.
We've seen it.
Yeah, I just don't love Tampa Bay. I just don't get good vibes coming from Tampa Bay. Just don't have it. So yeah, I got none of those teams making the playoffs. And the team that I do have making the playoffs, the team in the NFC South, who might do it with a losing record, who fucking knows? I'm joking. I got them winning some games. Of course. This is one of those teams I'm not sharing the record because I don't think it turned out right. Like
14 wins. No.
It was 12, and I'm like, what?
Okay. I mean, they've added a lot. I mean, Judon's there, Justin Simmons there.
Here are the wins I had for that division in order: 12, 3, 3, and 2. I did something wrong.
Right. So, okay.
It will be a little closer together than that. And so I was like, I'm not gonna do it. So like, we should delete that part. I'm gonna lose all kind of.
No, it's fine. You're gonna want to delete my next part, so it's all good. We'll just erase the South.
Oh god, you got Carolina winning this shit, don't you? You son of a bitch.
We don't know that. we don't know that.
Look, man, the Falcons to me are. If Kirk Cousins coming off the injury plays anywhere near the level at which he was playing in Minnesota, game over for the division. Lock it up.
I
done.
agree. I do. Agree.
If we're looking at pure talent, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, it's over. Like it's over. Like it should be done. This is one of those things where like on every futures bet, slamming Falcons winning the NFC South. Like I've got no concerns to me at all about the Falcons being able to put it together. Just because I really do think I don't know what the fuck Arthur Smith was doing last year, especially with like Bijan Robinson. What was the game plan? Like you're talking about a dude that could arguably be the best running back out in the NFL outside of Christian McCaffrey immediately. And you're not taking advantage of that. So I don't know. I don't see them having that same issue 2 years in a row.
Okay, fair enough. So now over to me where I agree. I have the New Orleans Saints in 4th place, and I don't have them doing a particularly good job over with just 4 wins. By the way, spoiler alert, this is the worst division in football. I don't have any of these guys over in double-digit territory. They are all in single digits for me.
Yeah.
Enough said on the Saints. They hate their quarterback, like as a city. It's a lot. Number 3. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I do think that there's a bit of regression to the mean. Unfortunately, I love Baker Mayfield, but to K-Dot's point, I think there could be some struggles this coming season. He's his best when his back is against the wall, and he got money and he got security. Does he let off a little bit? It's a bit away from what he's sort of used to in the elements that he thrives in. I do think that there's a bit of a step back. I think they're fun to watch, but I don't think that they're going to do it. In 2nd place, I've got the Atlanta Falcons, which let me just jump over cats out of the bag. And first, I have the Carolina Panthers because 1, they're my side piece team and I'm biased. So be it. 2, there was the possibility for K-Dot side piece team and my side piece team in week 18 to get flexed to Sunday Night Football, both at 8 wins, and the winner goes to the playoffs. Kirk Cousins must win game. He can't win. So therefore, the Carolina Panthers with 9 wins get in after beating the Atlanta Falcons on the road against the Atlanta Falcons, who have 8 wins.
Trash ass.
It's just, and this guys, by the way, just don't. This is very much a personal. I don't like Kirk Cousins. I believe in Bryce Young, and I believe in the Panthers' defensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero. So that, go ahead, kid.
You're just wrong. I get it. I will not look. I get you thinking the Panthers will be better than they were last year. I cannot fathom how anyone can think they're better than the Falcons.
There is but there's also this. There is always a worst to first team in the NFL. We've gone through all the other divisions so far.
You think it's Carolina?
I think it's Carolina. Yeah, I do think it's Carolina. I think, okay, on a more serious note, I think they've actually given Bryce Young some weapons. Adam Thielen is no longer his number 1 wide receiver, which was insane to begin with. Yeah. They've addressed the offensive line, which I think also helps a lot, specifically the guards. They've thrown a lot of money at that. I believe Dave Canales is good, and I'm not saying the Panthers are just lighting the fuck out of people, but I am saying that they are able to play a degree of ball control offense. I think Bryce Young's very talented. I think he just got a real shit draw last season. And I do like the defensive coordinator specifically in Ejiro Evero. So I know they lost some players, but I do have faith that they can be good enough to win some games in a bad division. I think most of their wins come from this division, honestly.
All right, I just got before we belabor the NFC South, which we shouldn't, the worst division.
Because it is horrible. Yeah.
Outside of Bryce Young, is there anyone on the Carolina's Panthers roster as good as Drake London?
No, probably not.
Outside of Bryce Young, is there anyone on the Carolina Panthers roster better than Kyle Pitts?
No, probably not.
Bijan Robinson?
No, probably not. I love the Falcons' talent.
I rest my case. All right,
That's fine. That's fine. I just think Kirk made Kirk a little bit. That's all. Okay. You know me. Come on. It's our show. This is what I'm going to do. All right. So recapping the NFC.
I ain't got none of these dudes doing anything in the fucking playoffs.
Don't ask me what Detroit's about to do to this Carolina Panthers squad, just to be clear. That honestly, you may see that shit on Pornhub. That's crazy. Like that might be a 40+ point blowout. They're like, thanks for the free buy in the first round. We get to play the
like
Panthers.
Pornhub, sound like something you found on the dark web, the way you making it sound.
I mean, listen, the Lions against the Panthers round 1. We'll get to it later. But once again, quickly recapping the NFC South, KDOT has in 4th place the New Orleans Saints, in 3rd place the Carolina Panthers, 2nd place Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and 1st place the Atlanta Falcons. I have in 4th place the New Orleans Saints, in 3rd place the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2nd place the Atlanta Falcons, and 1st place Carolina. That final game between Atlanta and Carolina, they both have 8 wins, winning in. That's going to be your Sunday night football game to conclude the regular season, which will be fun. Then we go to the NFC West, where this is a fun division, K-Dot. It's a very, very fun division, and I am almost surely going to surprise you, and I'm already not looking forward to it. Go ahead.
You got the Cardinals on you idiot.
I do like the Cardinals.
Last place, the NFC West. There's another division. I actually would go as far as to say they might be second best division.
I think they're the second best division.
Yeah. In last place, Seattle Seahawks. I have the Seahawks regressing a bit more. They had the 30th ranked defense, and I think that they're addressing that by doing the Mike Macdonald signing, which I get. And trust me, I liked Mike Macdonald a lot. I still don't think they did enough from a talent standpoint as far as what they did over the course of this offseason to really improve it dramatically. I still think they're going to have to make some inroads there. I think what everybody saw as far as Geno Smith and having that peak year, it's just been sort of, I wonder, is Sam Howell going to be pressuring him as he get that starting position? Like, is something happen there? And if it does, then things probably aren't looking that right. So, I mean, I just, if I'm looking at any of the teams in the division, I like Mike Macdonald. I do think it might take some time for him to get exactly what it is that he needs and develop his own philosophy. And also, I think what is being underrated, the same way I talk about the New England Patriots, Pete Carroll was a hell of a coach. And I think that there is usually, when you get rid of somebody that had his level of talent, there might be a bit of a dip. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals. This is that feel-good team. It's everybody's like little sleeper pick. Like, oh my God, they're gonna have Kyler Murray. They get Marvin Harrison. Cool. They'll be fun to watch. I don't have them making playoffs. They'll win games. Cool. Outside of them, second place, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I don't love the vibes now. The
They're
vibes
horrible.
in San Francisco are not good. They're not good vibes. There's also a matter of like, look, I love Kyle Shanahan. You've heard me talk about I want to build an organization kind of what the San Francisco 49ers have built, in the sense of like they can plug and play certain guys to still getting the same input, and they're always contending for shit, right? Which is cool. But there's been so long you keep doing this shit without needing to fucking win something, man. And like Kyle Shanahan, it's like knock, buddy. When are you gonna win it? And I think that the pressure kind of gets to him. I do think Trent Williams not being in training camp again, holding out, is an issue. I do think the Ayuk situation has been an issue. You hear John Lynch in those press conferences. He's barely fucking holding it together. You tell Kyle Shanahan's not having a good time with it. I just don't love the vibes here in San Francisco. And I do think it's been so long you continue to do this. Also, Christian McCaffrey, best running back in all of football, arguably top 3 player in all of football. He was fairly healthy last year. I don't see it 2 years in a row.
That's fair.
Call it what it is. I ain't rooting for it. Trust me, if I was picking number 1 in fantasy football, he's still coming off the board number 1. But I don't know, man. And then number 1, I got the LA Rams. McVay impressed the everlasting fuck out of me last year. And I will never doubt him again. Pound for pound, the best coach in football right now is Sean McVay, in my opinion. The dude is a monster. What they were able to do at wide receiver alone over the course of the last 2 seasons, I keep telling you guys, look out for that motherfucking Jordan Whittington. Can come out of nowhere just like a Cooper Kupp, just like a Puka Nacua. They are going to be able to get shit done. I still love Matthew Stafford. I understand defensively they lost a guy. What's this dude's name? Defensively, it was a defensive tackle.
Gosh,
Fuck is that?
Aaron, no. Aaron Donald? Aaron Donald? Was that it?
Names,
Is that it?
He
Yeah.
had
Oh, that
two
guy's
first
pretty
names,
fucking
something like
good.
that. Yeah,
That's right. That's right. That guy. He's really good.
It's whatever. It won't matter. Look, I'm not doubting this man anymore. I love what this fucking team is capable of doing. In that division, I clearly have them winning it, but I also have the 49ers making the playoffs, and those are the only 2 out of that division.
Okay. So I have the Seahawks also in 4th place in this division. I think they're frisky. I think they'll be fun. I mean, again, they have a fun receiving core, certainly, in DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba entering year 2. They got our guy, Sam Howell. If Geno Smith ends up going down, then Howell would get some play. He looked all right in the preseason. I think it'll be fun for us to be able to see Sam do well. And then Mike McDonald on the defensive side. Can he do something with them? It's year 1. It's a lot to do. They don't have a quarterback that I think can become a superstar. And when I compare it to the rest of the division, I just think it's a big ask. So I've got them in 4th. In 3rd place, I've got the San Francisco 49ers. So I've got them missing the playoffs this year. The Super Bowl hangover, I think, is going to be very real. I think we're already seeing the effects of it. I think the vibes of this team are not good. We've got Trent Williams now holding out despite being under contract because he wants more money and he wants some guarantees. He has $0 guaranteed right now. So if he doesn't play, and that's a very real possibility, K-Dot, that could lead to some trouble. You mentioned Christian McCaffrey. Guess what? He's already dinged up. It's already happened this offseason. So, and if I remember it correctly, it's either hamstring or soft tissue, something that can linger. So if he's hurt, Brandon Ayuk just re-signed today, 4 years, 120. Congratulations, K-Dot. You and I absolutely nailed that contract offer when we did our deep dive on Brandon Ayuk. That is what he signed for. This just does not feel like a team that is ready to give their absolute everything once again. It is just, to me, too tall an order. We've seen plenty of runner-ups in the Super Bowl miss the playoffs. I think the 49ers fall victim to this. I'm curious to see how Brock Purdy does this year as well. He's starting to air it out a bit more in practice. I don't really think that's much of a big deal, but I do think he may have some struggles this year. That's them in 3rd place. 2nd place, I've got the frisky Arizona Cardinals. Shout out Jess Santo. That is his side piece team. That is one that I was leaning towards as well. I like what Jonathan Gannon's building over there. They got a full season of Kyler Murray. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. I like this team, and I like what they do on defense as well. Again, Gannon, more of a defensive guy. I think that they're going to be frisky. I think Kyler Murray is very difficult to guard, I'll say. Just the way he sort of plays quarterback is like you have to make sure that you account for him running as well. I think he'll be able to do just enough. I think he's good. So I've got them at 10 wins and making the playoffs. And then number 1, K-Dot, I'm in full agreement with you, man. The Los Angeles Rams. Sean McVay is just such a good coach. I mean, it's just one of those things that was supposed to be a down year for them. They made the playoffs, and honestly, were they favored against Detroit? I don't even remember if they were, but it was a close game at Detroit, a team that you and I both really like this year. The Rams will be there, and I'm quite confident they're going to win this division. So quickly recapping what we have over here, K-Dot has the Seahawks in 4th, the Cardinals in 3rd, 49ers in 2nd, Rams in 1st. I have the Seahawks in 4th, the 49ers in 3rd, missing the playoffs. That's sort of my big prediction out of all this. In 2nd place, the Arizona Cardinals, and in 1st, the Los Angeles Rams. So, K-Dot, that's going to transition us over almost to the NFC East. Let's go to one team specifically, the team we cover. Washington Commanders over here. We're going to quickly go through it game by game. Thank you guys for bearing with us through predictions. I love this episode. I know it's going long. I love this episode. It's just so much fun to look back at.
That's my favorite.
K-Dot, week 1, we're at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Win or loss?
Hang on for a second, okay? Let me get my bearings just for a second because I did not do this exercise properly. Let's give everybody a little refresher on what's happening as far as the season schedule while I buy myself some time.
Yeah, take it.
Buccaneers, Commanders. win.
Okay. I have a loss in this game to start this season. We lose at Tampa Bay, but then week 2, we're back at home playing against the New York Giants.
Hang on, I'm pulling something up.
Yeah, sure.
remember I did. So yeah, all right. I had them winning that one. Okay, so week 2, I'm pulling up. I actually did have a bit of a predictor thing going.
Okay.
Week 2, Giants win. Commanders start 2-0.
Commanders start 2-0. I also have a win. And then that brings us to Monday night at Cincinnati. That's going to be the LSU quarterbacks, the Heisman Trophy winners, Joe Burrow against Jayden Daniels. K-Dot, over to you. Loss. Yeah, I've also got a loss, by the way. So that puts us at 2-1, according to K-Dot, and I have us at 1-2 so far. Then we go over and we're playing at Arizona.
Cardinals.
2-2, and I have us losing that game as well, putting us at 1-3 right now. Then we host the Cleveland Browns week 5.
Browns.
He's got the Browns. I actually have us winning that game. And so we are both at 2-3 right now. K-Dot, we are at Baltimore.
Ravens.
Yeah, I also have the Ravens. That's 2-4 for both of us. We host the feisty Carolina Panthers.
Don't you fucking do it. Commanders.
Yeah, I got the Commanders too. Don't worry. Don't worry, I got the Commanders as well. I did flirt with the idea of giving it to Carolina, but no, I got the Commanders winning that one. Week 8, we play Chicago coming off a bye. The Bears are. We host them, though.
Commanders.
I have the Bears. I really want to win that game, though. I really, really want to win that game. Go over to week 9. We are at the Giants, K-Dot.
Giants.
Okay. I have us winning that. I have us sweeping the Giants, which, guys, if we're being totally honest, K-Dot's probably much, much more likely to be correct than I am. And we split with the Giants. But we have to sweep these guys. We have to sweep these guys. They leaked out on their Hard Knocks that they just hate Daniel Jones. But anyway, that's that. K-Dot, week 10, Pittsburgh at Washington.
Steelers. I
have the Commanders. I have us winning that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then we are at Philadelphia.
Philly.
I also have Philly. We go over. That's a Thursday night. Then we are at home to the Dallas Cowboys, week 12.
Cowboys.
Oh, boy. I have us winning that game.
Oh, boy.
K-Dot. Tennessee Titans and Washington Commanders.
Commanders.
All righty. Week 15, off a bye. Washington Commanders at New Orleans Saints.
Hey, I got to get there.
All right. Take your time.
Where are they? Oh, Commanders.
I got the Saints. Then we go over to the Eagles at Commanders.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's true. The NFL's a weird season, man.
Okay. All right.
It's weird.
What's next?
I got the Eagles at the Commanders.
Eagles.
All righty. K-Dot has the Eagles sweeping us. Then we have the Falcons at Commanders.
Falcons.
In December? Please. We win that game. Kirk's not winning. Then we have the Commanders at the Cowboys to conclude the season.
Commanders.
All right, I have the Cowboys. So if we're summing up K-Dot's win total for us, he has us at 6 wins. Is that correct?
Thought I had 7.
I have you at 6.
All right, well, somebody's doing something wrong.
6 or 7. Okay, I've got us. I've got odds are it's me. I've got us at 9 wins. So we'll see how that goes. K-Dot over to the NFC East as a whole. We've done the game predictions for the Commanders.
How confident are you in your 9 wins?
I do have reasonable confidence in it. So I think probably like 65%. Like I'm feeling pretty good about it, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, just because historically, we get the number 2 pick. We end up having a really nice year, and the rest of the division is in shambles. And based on the storylines, that actually makes sense again this year. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, I mean, that's just what happens. So some things are beyond my understanding.
No, when we'd done this before, and my idea was I was going to be as brutal as I could.
Yeah.
With being as real as I could, with thinking our defensive. Let's go over the NFCs and I'll explain it.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so K-Dot 4-1. The floor is yours.
New York Giants, they're ass. Fuck them.
Terrible.
I'm joking. I like Daniel Jones.
I know you do.
He's not that great though. I enjoy watching him play. I don't enjoy it, but it's cool seeing that Forrest Gump looking motherfucker run for 80 yards against our team at times. It's just hilarious. It shouldn't happen. Third, I have the Washington Commanders. I just look at the firepower that some of these other NFC East teams, including the ones that I have in 1 and 2, and looking at our defensive backs from what I was able to see during the preseason, knowing that even though I love Joe Witt, I love Dan Quinn, I love what they might be able to do with some of the pass rush, things like that. Guarding A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, even Jahan Dotson as a third option on that fucking team, going against a CD Lamb, one-on-one against any of them, you can try to scheme it up as much as you want to. I just think what's still a team that's going to get beat over the top sometimes, especially by a team that clearly has more talent on the receiving core than we do as far as the defensive backs. Well, I do think we'll be in a lot. I don't think we're getting blown out. I don't see that being the team. I see that 7 or 6 wins being a good-looking 7 or 6 wins, and the rest of those losses being like, hey, we were in it. There's no Chicago Bears of last year blowing us the fuck out.
We're kind of last year's Arizona, the way you're describing it, which is good.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But on a more upward trajectory than I think the Cardinals are on overall.
Fair enough.
Next up, give me the Cowboys. The Cowboys, look, part of me is doing nothing but wishful and hopeful fucking thinking that they make the goddamn playoffs. They have double-digit wins like they have the last few seasons. There's no reason to think that they've fallen off quite dramatically, even with losing Dan Quinn and Joe Witt and all those guys. They still have dudes that they help develop into very, very talented pieces. The more they win, the sweeter it is when they crash and burn at the end of the season like we know it's going to happen. And number 1, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, I could really flip-flop 1 and 2. It's just the whole teams don't win back-to-back, and that's kind of what I'm riding on. Mm-hmm. So give me the Eagles to win it out. Look, also as far as Philadelphia goes, the vibes are unclear. Like San Francisco's vibes are bad. The vibes are just unclear right now. I don't think that they are. It just doesn't feel like they're going to have the same sort of camaraderie that they have been having in seasons previous. I don't think the leash or the patience that the team is going to have with the Nick Sirianni is going to be anything like they've had in the past. And you could even see certain glimpses last year. They were fucking over his ass. So I just think that that's another team that, like, when it comes to crashing and burning at the end of the season, it crashes and burns really, 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 really hard.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And for me, I have the Giants in 4th, of course, enough said. In 3rd, I have the Dallas Cowboys with only 7 wins. They have so normally what they do is they rely on their home schedule and winning at home. They host Baltimore. They host Houston. Like they've got some very difficult home games that I think this time they just don't get through. And then I have us in 2nd place. I think that we come on strong, which is also historic, more in the second half of the season. I don't anticipate that we get off to a fast start. I have us losing the very first game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers while everyone looks at last year's vibes and you're just sort of hitting the reset button on it. So I think we come on strong on the tail end, and it's enough to become the 7th seed in the NFC, which would be awesome. But guys, I also want to say that I can easily see what K-Dot's saying as well. When it comes to the 6-7 wins, but you feel good about the coming season. That is the much more standard thing to do. I'm also relying on a bit of history here. I believe in that kind of stuff where this just happens. And I look at the vibes in Dallas, I look at the vibes in Philly, and I go, there's a window here. I do think that there's a window to be able to win a couple extra games that we normally wouldn't. That's us at 9. But I do have Philadelphia winning the division with not too many wins. I've got them at 10. Like I don't know what the vibes are going to look like. It could be 10, it could be 11 wins, but they could also easily just sort of implode. I have no idea what's going to happen. I think Howie Roseman has a lot to say in this. If they get off to a slow start, K-Dot, I don't know. Sirianni just gone in the middle of it? Could be. I mean, he doesn't strike me as particularly patient. So,
or they start offloading some of the talent.
Maybe. Maybe. I think it's
That's
all
what-
on the board.
I love the window idea for next year is lining up to me. If this season's like okay for
Yeah.
Washington, that like next year is a big time year that like we could flip the script on these teams for a while.
Yeah, it's the one time. So normally the NFC East with the Eagles and Cowboys, I go, oh man, it's going to be tough. Those are 4 really, really tough games, and they still are. But I think that there are windows to be able to win 1 or 2 of those this time, getting us up to a higher
Yeah, I
win
still
amount.
think they're just more talented than us.
I agree that they're more talented than us. I do think. I'm just.
I think we might
the
play
vibes.
harder. That's my thing.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm just
I think
enjoying
we
the
might
vibes.
play
right?
harder. But I think the vibes can be good. The vibes can be trash for them. And the next year, I'm lining up next year as a big year. My expectations next season are going to be, I mean, depending on what happens this season, but I think look for my expectation next season to be really fucking high on this team.
Sounds good. And now we go over to the playoff predictions. Kate, we were just talking about the NFC. Why don't we go ahead and continue talking about the NFC? So go ahead. The floor is yours.
So how do we want to do this? I just go over like what I think happens in like the wild card round, the divisional round.
Yeah. I've got very quick matchups and winners. I'm not going to explain why it occurs. Just
Okay.
this is what happens.
All right. So NFC wild card. I got the 5th seed 49ers defeating the 4th seed Falcons.
Okay.
I got the 3rd seed Rams defeating the 6th seed Cowboys. I've got the 2nd seed Eagles defeating the 7th seed Packers in the wild card.
Okay.
In the divisional round, I have the 3rd seed Rams defeat. Well, I don't have to say the seeds anymore. I got the Rams defeating the Eagles.
Okay.
And I got the Lions defeating the 49ers.
Okay.
And the NFC Championship game, I've got the Rams defeating the Lions.
Okay. Rams defeating the Lions. Okay. So they get them back. They get them back from last year. Alrighty. So I have the Rams beating the Commanders. So I have the Rams as the 2 seed, Commanders as the 7. Rams just too much on offense. We lose. Arizona over Philly. Again, I think this is sort of a down year for Philly. I think Arizona goes there and wins. Detroit beats the living daylights out of the Carolina Panthers. That's the wild card round. Then the 1-seeded Green Bay Packers, they are going to go ahead and beat the Arizona Cardinals. And I also have the Rams beating the Lions just a round earlier. So that sets up Green Bay against the Los Angeles Rams. Green Bay is going to win that game. I have Green Bay in the Super Bowl on the NFC side. AFC, over to you.
AFC wildcard. 4th seeded Texans defeat the 5th seeded Chargers. The 3rd seeded Dolphins defeat the 6th seeded Steelers. The 2nd seeded Chiefs defeat the 7th seed Jets. In the divisional round, I've got the Chiefs defeating the Dolphins and the Texans defeating the number 1 seed Baltimore Ravens. And the AFC Championship game, I have the Chiefs defeating the Texans.
Okay, so the Chiefs are back. Man, this three-peat feels inevitable.
It shouldn't.
I know.
It hasn't happened.
It doesn't. It doesn't. But man, I mean, it's Mahomes entering his. Anyway, I'll quickly give you mine because I got a bit of drama here. So you will recall that the New York Jets are a touch underseeded because Rodgers missed some games. So the New York Jets, as the 7th seed, beat the number 2 Houston Texans in the wild card round. Then Miami, as the 3 seed, beat the 6-seeded Cleveland Browns. And Baltimore beat Cincinnati, which is a wild card matchup in the 4-5. Okay. The next round, the Kansas City Chiefs will lose to the New York Jets at home. Okay. I think Rodgers has one last little thing in him. And the Ravens, I'm just have some fun, bro. I got the Panthers winning the fucking division. Niners out. May as well go the distance. I got the Ravens.
A-Train
no comment.
A-Train made the prediction.
No comment, but yes, if you could throw that one in from the Rocket.
Rational coat confidence. Got it.
I got the Ravens beating the Dolphins. And then that sets up the 4-seeded Ravens hosting the AFC Championship game. Again, they weren't expecting to, but here we are against the New York Jets. I've got the Baltimore Ravens winning and saying a quick thank you to Aaron Rodgers for knocking out the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's what I have over there. Green Bay against Baltimore in my Super Bowl. K-Dot, who do you have winning it?
Chiefs over Rams.
Okay.
Because I refuse, under any circumstances whatsoever, to pick against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Which I remember early on, I said Sean McVay was the pound-for-pound best coach in the NFL.
And then there's Andy Reid.
Apologies, Andy Reid.
Yeah. So let the record state that I completely agree with K-Dot. And now A-Train's going to make his prediction here and has the Baltimore Ravens beating the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl. I think Baltimore does get it done this year. So that's what we have. So K-Dot has the Kansas City Chiefs three-peating. I've got the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson finally getting over the hump. And so that's what we have. K-Dot, your MVP real quick.
Lamar Jackson. I'm going to pick him again.
Back to back.
And once again, I have the Ravens as the number 1 seed in the AFC. I think the Ravens. I'm feeling vibes in the city, man.
Okay.
I didn't like seeing Lamar skinnier. I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't like it.
I think it's a good thing.
I didn't like it. I started hearing rumors on the street like, "Yo, what's going on, Lamar?" I'm like, I ain't gonna repeat the rumors here, but I'm just saying. Yeah, I just think he puts it together. Zay Flowers is the best number 1 wide receiver he's ever had, and he's truly a number 1 in Baltimore. I love the idea of Derrick Henry. I think the offensive line isn't exactly where it is I want it to be in the perfect scenario. It's not the best that Baltimore has ever tracked out. But if Derrick Henry can do just enough to just take a little bit off of Lamar, you've seen the biggest issue with Baltimore the last few years is he's not having enough healthy running backs over the course of the season. If Henry could just be that big body and do what he needs to do, and they start doing some of them option runs, things like that over the course of the game, can you imagine Derrick Henry battering a defense down, and in the third or fourth quarters when Lamar says, "Fuck it,"
honestly, I think just Derrick Henry's presence alone, Todd Monken looks at him as a nice little reminder, hey, we can't run the ball just 6 times in a game. Like, you're just like, well, he's right there. Give it to him. And I think that's just going to help them a whole lot settle down with game flow and tempo, etc. Having a guy like that also probably helps Lamar out from a confidence standpoint too. We got Derrick fucking Henry in the backfield. So
yeah.
So in terms of vibes of the city, I'm totally in agreement with you there. I still love Baltimore. My MVP is not Lamar Jackson. My MVP is the quarterback he's going to defeat in the Super Bowl. That's Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is going to have a really, really nice year, continue to build off of last season. We saw something similar with Rodgers, where Rodgers' first season, he was very good. In his second year, he was just, to me, lights out. I thought he was great. And so I think we get something similar with Jordan Love. So he is my MVP of the season, but he loses to Lamar and the Ravens. All right, K-Dot. We did it. We did all the predictions. We got a comment mailbag. Coach Lombard, I will tell you right now, there is one comment where you say, I'm going to need to drink some water in this one. We've been going $1.22 right now. I will not be reading that comment. So just a heads up, because you got another one as well, which got some distance. So also you're not just Santo. So there's also that. We go over to just your average fly. I do it for Commanders fans. Just your average fly guy. You
thought you could
comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
Apologies to Nikki. Apologies. Oh my goodness, I jumped the gun. Never again.
And just for that, 9 days.
Shout out, Sonny. 9 days until the season. Thank God, man. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Comment mailbag.
I'm checking.
You son of a bitch. You know what? I do feel bad that we're not reading both of Coach Lombard's, so I'll read the first one goes to you, Coach. Here it is. Gauntlet dropped. My point is that Cole Turner was just a receiver at Nevada. Dude can't catch a cold these days, but he is a good blocker.
Yeah.
Fans have been giving him shit because he can't do the one thing on his scouting report, but as a good blocker, he has other value. John Bates is an excellent blocker on a technical level, but on his Miami tape, he's lost in the sauce and consistently blocks the wrong guy. Turner as another blocker frees up relatively dangerous receiving threats, Ertz and Sinnott in the formation to better attack matchups. Context. My point about Cliff is that he has a juvenile, joyful, and enthusiastic personality. That's awesome. And I'm the same way. But as a head coach, you need to have a hard edge and you need to be able to be confrontational. Be damn sure that I call my team out after low effort pregame. I don't know if Cliff is a call out guy. As an OC, that's okay. As a head coach, # share this shit. K-Dot, your reaction to Coach Lombard's comment?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about college tape on guys that have been in the league for over a year. I'm just not going to do it. Beyond that, I guess I mean, some of the guys aren't here anymore, so I ain't really got to say much else. They weren't that great. Yeah. Fuck the Eagles.
All right. Yeah, fuck the Eagles. And we go over to Just Your Average Fly Guy. Remind you guys, this happened before the 53 was announced, so you're going to hear some names that are not here. Just Your Average Fly Guy goes, what a fucking game. Trace McSorley better make the roster. He did not. After seeing Trace lay the lumber, I was hearing
what?
Anyone, anywhere, anytime. Props to Bryant. Make that squad. Also did not make it.
No.
It's everything they want that Jahan couldn't do. Did get a thumbs up. A lot of people were feeling the Martavis Bryant high. I certainly was, K-Dot. What do you make of that comment? McSorley.
I feel like I was stupid for taking Pringle off the list. Pringle had a damn good game.
He had a damn good game. I completely agree.
And I do think overall the course of the preseason, like Bryant really didn't do shit until this last game, and it was against bums.
So I think what we ended up doing, and maybe this is a lesson for next year, is we put a lot of weight on that very last game. And so next time it's just like, hey, let's look at it and weight it evenly. And I think what we did was sort of what college profs do. I feel like the final just weighs more. I don't think that's necessarily true.
I think it was true for one person. Kaz Allen.
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily win it on the last day. You could certainly lose it. I think that's what ended up occurring.
Bingo.
Yeah. We go over to Blood Clot. Hey, shout out Blood Clot.
Yo.
For the first time since Hopkins, I wasn't holding my breath on the extra point. Nice straight down the middle. I think this guy is good enough to be the kicker going forward for now. I think Martavis did just enough to make the 53. Okay. Did not make it. Unlike your roster predictions, I don't have Noah Igbenogany making the team. He made it. He was absolutely terrible in the last preseason game. But maybe we keep him because we're so thin at the position. We did. Derek Forrest also played poorly, also made the team. So that is Blood Clot's comment over there. K-Dot, what do you make of it? I feel like I just sort of set you up to just do that. I apologize, Blood Clot. You know we love you. We go over to Big Papa Grizzly. Shout out with a couple. One is very quick. Clean beards, stiff dicks, big hearts, can't lose. Let's fucking go K-Dot. Yeah, let's fucking go K-Dot. That was literally for you. Clean beards, stiff dicks, big hearts, can't lose.
Never.
That's Big Papa Grizzly right there with one of them.
That's going on a t-shirt.
Hey, Big Papa Grizzly just brings it sometimes. I love it. And here's the other one. Bye-bye Cole Turner. It's going to suck seeing him go. I liked watching him catch touchdowns from Carson Strong at UNR. I actually wanted us to draft Carson Strong, Cole Turner, and Romeo Doubs that year. He has great hands, but I don't know what happened to them. Hope he gets a chance somewhere, maybe our practice squad. And I do believe he is back on the practice squad. Cole Turner is.
I just love the name Carson Strong. He sounds like a good old Western cowboy. Carson Strong.
Well, yeah, it does. It does actually sound quite nice. We go over to Artis Holland with 3 comments. They're all very quick, though. First one, love the kicker. Shout out to Artis Holland and Cade York for that. Then we got Cole Turner sealed his fate. Maybe practice squad. Correct. He's on the practice squad. And third one, I really felt good for Martavis Bryant. We need him and his big body. Give him that play all season at the goal line, but won't be happening from the looks of it.
Noah Brown.
No.
Which upgrade
is good. Yes. Produced in the league last season. Played with a superstar quarterback, which he'll be doing here. So yeah, we'll see. We go over to Tony Peters. Tony P. Shout out, Tony. John Bates was chilling on the sideline and caught a stray. Regardless of what he did back then, he's good money blocking now. Oh, and thanks for the context, coach, because they were having a bit of a conversation from the prior video. So shout out Tony for that comment. Reaction?
None.
All right. And then we move on to Cody Rind with a couple comments. Shout out. Or is it Brian? I apologize. But here are a couple comments from Cody. Beginning with this one. I love all the couch coaches and Monday quarterbacks in these comments. I'm ready to debate and go to fucking war with any of y'all. Hashtag send that shit. Share this shit. Appreciate that, Cody. And here's the second one. On the real note, I love y'all's show. He was also the one that said, turn up your volume, Terrence, last week. I love y'all's show. Keep up the awesome work and enthusiasm. Y'all should collaborate for an episode with my boy, Rio Robinson. He's also very unfiltered and real. Hashtag beard, oil, dick pills, and fleshlights. K-Dot, you're starting something over here. You really are.
Movement. And go to war! Pitchforks and stiff dicks! War!
Then we go over to... We're almost there. You're doing great, by the way.
I gotta drive down to Virginia after this.
Oh my god, dude, you've had a day.
War!
We got a couple quick comments here from HTTR Redskins. They feel like troll comments. I'm just gonna warn you.
Motherfucker, the name's still Redskins. We know.
Oh, he's still going with it. And Vindo thinks he's trolling as well. Just a heads up. Shout out Vindo. I'll tell you who's not on the 53. Montez Sweat, Cam Curl, Kendall Fuller, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Cooper DeJean, and Drake May. That's too much talent to pass on. A diminutive slot who lacks speed, an injured defensive tackle, an unproven injury-prone receiver. These are all draft picks we didn't even need. That's the first one. I'm going to read the second one too. Drake May is the next Josh Allen / Patrick Mahomes. It's clear as mud. He's only 21. K-Dot, your reaction to those two.
My name's HCTR Redskins, and I miss Dan Snyder. I miss Ron Rivera. What are you doing? What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Hey, commenters, go to war!
K-Dot started to cult.
What is this? Glory years with no glory? We reminiscing over bullshit? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I mean, it feels like blatant trolling to me. That's where we're at. You could like Drake May, certainly. I don't necessarily mind that one. Just because they haven't played, a regular season snap yet. Sure, continue to dream. The other guys, I mean, come on. We know. I mean, shit. Anyway, Coach, I do apologize for not reading.
Commenting and just holding them L's, boy. Yeah. Hold them L's. Coach, I apologize for not reading this last one. It is incredibly long, and we are very much against a hard stop here. So we don't even have time for after the pod. We've gone over 90 minutes. This was District Divided, DC Sports Podcast. More specifically, time for a train. He can't miss it. It's Thursday night, and he's got to do them lines.
I got a fantasy draft.
What are you taking? I'm taking Vicodin in the second round.
Thank you guys for watching. I'm on it. That's kid. A-Train at times as well, I guess. Thank you guys so much for
comment mailbag time.
No. You like the video, please like it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Comment as you always.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
And
share this shit, motherfuckers. We are out this bitch.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.